The divorce papers were signed at 10:17 in the morning. By 1:20 that afternoon, my ex-husband, Daniel, was already driving around town with his new girlfriend, Chloe, looking at houses. And at 1:43, I received a photograph that made my hands go cold. Chloe was standing in front of a beautiful two-story house, holding a set of keys. Under the picture, Daniel had written, "Finally found our new home. Our home, not theirs. At least, not yet." I stared at the message for several seconds. Then I smiled, because Daniel had forgotten one very important thing. The divorce had ended our marriage. It had not ended the legal battle over the assets he had spent years hiding. For 11 years, I had been Daniel's wife. I had supported him when his small construction company was barely surviving. I had worked evenings, handled our household, paid bills, and even sold my grandmother's jewelry when his company needed emergency money. Daniel always promised me the same thing. Once I make it big, everything will be yours too. Eventually, he did make it big. His company grew rapidly. We bought 3 rental properties, opened investment accounts, and built a comfortable life. But then Daniel changed. He became secretive. His phone was always locked. Bank statements disappeared. And suddenly, every conversation about money ended with him saying, "Trust me." I did. Until I discovered Chloe. She was 29. Daniel was 42. And apparently, according to the messages I found, they had been planning their future for nearly 8 months. The worst part wasn't the affair. It was the financial betrayal. Daniel had been transferring money from our joint accounts into companies controlled by him and his brother. When I confronted him, he laughed. "You won't understand the business." That sentence changed everything. I hired an attorney named Rebecca Morgan. She reviewed the documents carefully and asked one question. "Do you know where the money went?" I shook my head. She smiled calmly. "Then we'll find out." We did. Over the next 6 months, Rebecca uncovered a complicated web of shell companies, hidden accounts, property purchases, and transfers. Daniel thought he was clever. He wasn't. He had moved nearly $2.4 million. And some of that money had been used to purchase a luxury house for Chloe. The same house they were looking at that afternoon. Daniel believed the divorce settlement would leave him in control. He was wrong. During our final hearing, the judge ordered both of us to disclose all marital assets. Daniel claimed his company was worth far less than it actually was. Rebecca presented financial records proving otherwise. The judge ordered an independent valuation. The real value was almost 3 times Daniel's estimate. Still, Daniel remained confident. He thought I would accept whatever settlement he offered because I was exhausted. He was right about one thing. I was exhausted, but I wasn't stupid. At 10:17 that morning, the judge finalized our divorce. Daniel walked out smiling. "Good luck starting over," he said. I looked at him. "You too." 3 hours later, he took Chloe house hunting. He thought the past was finished. Then Rebecca called. "Did you see what Daniel is doing?" "Yes." "Good. Don't contact him." "Why?" "Because I just filed the emergency motion." My heart started pounding. "What motion?" "To freeze the disputed marital assets." I sat silently. Rebecca continued. "The court has reason to believe Daniel is attempting to transfer or conceal property before the final asset division. Until the dispute is resolved, he cannot sell, transfer, or move certain assets." I whispered. "So the house, if he is trying to purchase it using disputed marital funds, the court can stop the transaction." That evening, Daniel called me. His voice was furious. "What did you do?" I calmly replied, "I followed the court order. You froze my accounts. Some accounts containing disputed marital funds. You can't do this." I didn't. I paused. The judge did. He started shouting. For years, Daniel had used anger to control conversations. This time, I simply listened. Then he said something that confirmed everything. "You don't deserve half of what I built." I answered quietly. "I didn't take half of what you built, Daniel. You took everything." "No." I looked at the stack of documents on my desk. "I took what I helped build." There was silence. Then he hung up. The next morning, Rebecca called again. "There's more." Apparently, Chloe had already signed a preliminary agreement for the house. But the money Daniel intended to use had been traced to an account containing marital funds. The purchase was stopped. Chloe wasn't happy. According to Rebecca, she had immediately demanded answers from Daniel. That was the beginning of the end for them. Within weeks, Daniel's carefully constructed life collapsed. The court ordered him to return the hidden funds. Several properties were sold. His business was independently evaluated. And the final settlement gave me far more than Daniel had originally offered. Not because I wanted revenge. Because the law recognized what he had tried to hide. 6 months later, I moved into a small house of my own. It wasn't enormous. It wasn't luxurious. But every dollar used to buy it was legally mine. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. One evening, while unpacking boxes, I found an old photograph. Daniel and I were standing beside our first apartment. We were young, poor, happy. I looked at the picture for a long time. Then I put it away. I didn't hate him anymore. That surprised me. I had spent months imagining the day he would regret everything. But when that day finally came, I realized something. His regret wasn't my victory. My freedom was. A year after the divorce, I heard through a mutual friend that Daniel was still struggling with the consequences of his decisions. Chloe had left him, his business was smaller, and he had finally admitted that he had underestimated me. When I heard that, I simply smiled. Because 3 hours after our divorce, Daniel thought he was beginning a new life. He didn't realize that I was beginning mine too. And unlike his new life, mine wasn't built on secrets. It was built on the truth. Sometimes people believe destroying your marriage means destroying you. Sometimes they believe you're too emotional, too tired, or too trusting to fight back. But they forget something important. A quiet person isn't necessarily a weak person. Sometimes she's simply waiting until she has the evidence. And when the truth finally enters the courtroom, there is nowhere left for lies to hide. That day, Daniel lost far more than a house. He lost the woman who had spent 11 years believing in him. And I gained something worth much more. Myself.